Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about having a Virgo ascendant in a natal chart. Now, first off, what I wanted to state is that some of you may remember when I first started my astrology videos back in 2012. I did a series on the rising signs. Now, they were a little bit concise, and some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I wanted to do was start another series on the ascendant slash rising signs, and make them a little bit longer and be more descriptive. So this is what I'm doing right now. Now anyway, first off, as far as Virgo ascendant or Virgo rising goes, the appearance, physical body, well, Virgo rising tends to be medium height on average, middle stature, inclines toward a slender build. Some can be a little bit, a little bit heavier, a little bit more compact, but generally slender and thin in build. The hair tends to be, of a brownish color. Um, they may have Virgo rising can have diminutive features. The hair. I want to elaborate on that, and not just brownish, but also it tends to be sparse. It's not what you would call overly abundant or profuse. The lips, can be thin, and when you look at Virgo, rising, the thing about them is they often want to be very meticulous in how they dress and very neat, and you generally won't see a hair out of place. If there's any hairs out of place, they're generally not going to be that many. And another thing too about the Virgo appearance is that the eyes. I talked about having diminutive features. The eyes can be delicate, tend to be small and often deep set, and they could be very clear. The nose can be thin and straight. Now, as far as the mouth and lips go, the upper lip of Virgo rising tends to be thin, and then the lower lip, might be a little more pronounced because of this and stand out a little more because the upper lip can be very thin. The face tends to be, like a round head or like an oval type of face. Now, the complexion, Virgo tends to be fair, and sometimes some Virgo risings I'll see have a little bit of a darker type complexion though, in some instances. Now, the thing too is the shoulders tend to be broad for Virgo rising, and the thing about Virgo rising as well is that when you look at them again, it's just a very type of neat appearance. The arms and legs tend to be a little bit longer in relation to the rest of the body, and the trunk is generally short. Um, Proportionally relation, to the arms, to the legs. So anyway, now another thing about we talk about Virgo ascendant, the outer demeanor and personality. Well, Virgo rising, outwardly can be very intellectual, cerebral, analytical. They're often very meticulous, punctilious with details, can be verbose and maybe even seen as pedantic. Virgo people in general, I'd say especially Virgo ascendant people, and may sometimes use, they could use more words than maybe necessary in their sentences, or use, they may use a lot of, more advanced vocabulary words. Sometimes if it may not always be necessary, but the thing is, Virgo rising can often be very organized too, and their homes are generally going to be such where they're not disheveled. And you go into, the Virgo ascendant home, you generally figure it's going to be very neat and organized, and you're generally not going to see a lot of clutter anywhere. Because they like to be, very neat in terms whether it's their parents or their home, and even at their place of business where their employment is. Virgo rising can also be very timely and punctual. They're reliable. Generally, they want to be, a certain place at a um, certain time, and you could generally depend on them to be there. They're very precise with things. And the thing too is they could be a little bit fidgety and nervous too. Um, they're similar, like Gemini that way, being ruled by Mercury. So, that's where you see a lot of that, the nervousness, and they can be frugal too. They're often, the Earth, ascendants in general are going to be such where they'll often not spend an overabundance of money on things. They may like to get the generic brands, often in contrast to the more popular brands in items. Another thing is that the ascendant, and also Virgo rising can be very reticent and humble too. Now the thing is, the first impression, is the ascendant as well. And Virgo rising people on a first impression can be rather cerebral, intellectual, can be analytical, um, but yet shy, reticent, and humble. Um, the thing too is, and also again pedantic, and they'll often use, the advanced, vocabulary. Some people, may be in Virgo ascendant's presence, and they'll be, well, I don't even understand some of these words, and that's actually a compliment to Virgo rising people because there's a lot of people that are not going to be on, the same wavelength mentally as they are. And again, their first impression is often very scrupulous and proper for Virgo rising people, and but they can be a little bit judgmental and critical, about things. And the thing is, and also, but they like to analyze. And again, being very analytical, they want to be, the first impression can be one, well, of a person that's very neat, very proper, scrupulous. I talked about before, generally not a hair out of place on their head. They're ones that, like to have, it's like the person that likes to be all buttoned up and have the shirt tucked in. Uh, and but yet can be a little bit apprehensive and shy as well, might be seen that way on a first impression. And but observant. Virgo rising people generally don't miss a trick. They'll point out objects that other people may overlook and be oblivious to. Now, the outlook on life for Virgo rising, generally can be negative because it is a feminine sun. The feminine ascendants, generally tend to be more negative in contrast to the masculine ascendants, at least outwardly. The thing about Virgo rising, when their outlook on life, there also can be worrisome. And, they're often really deep in thought about, what's going to be happening, with their future or whatever it might be. And they tend to be skeptical uh, of things. And they might find, often find the reason, not to do something that could be due to some kind of, fear or apprehension, as in contrast to actually doing so. Uh, and the thing is, their outlook too is such, the way they approach life is that they may really believe that life is about, industry and hard work and your work ethic, and that is what leads to things such as having greater social status and stature in life. Now, the early childhood of Virgo rising can be one where he or she is very inquisitive, would often ask questions, even at a very young age, but yet could be one of those young childs that could criticize or might complain about things, or sometimes if the food didn't taste good or something, or they had vegetables. And all kids may do that anyway at some point, but Virgo rising, it may be emphasized with them a little bit more so than the average person. And it's also you know the thing is, during the early childhood, at the same time, Virgo rising might come across as more, proper, and, being, doing things when they're supposed to be done, being listening to the parents, and not, going against them or trying to rebel or be one of those people that, "Oh, hey, I'm going to do my own thing," or what have you. So, also too, the ascendant is connected with new beginnings. And for new beginnings for Virgo rising, they may be ones, where the person's often deep in thought and pondering about what he or she's going to do, very pensive and thoughtful. But being an Earth ascendant, it's often very planned, premeditated. And the thing is, it also, it's a lot of analysis may go into what they're going to do, as far as new starts go, new projects and endeavors. And, as far as more specific subjects, those things, new beginnings may be associated with statistics, something with organization, like home organization. It could be something connected with fitness, diet, health, nutrition, um, anything that's Virgo related, compiling data, data entry, computer programming. Now, the vitality for Virgo rising can often be good. It is an earth sign. They generally have good constitution, even though, many don't look overly, strong or vigorous or robust or what have you. The thing about it is the propensity to worry, though, may adversely affect Virgo rising's vitality. Now, body parts connected with Virgo are to be the spleen, pancreas. They can have issues, abdominal issues, intestinal issues as well. And the thing too is, the first house in astrology, the ascendant, is also connected with a grandparent and people prominent in one's early childhood. So those people may be Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant persons, or ones that simply embody those characteristics. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.